and welcome to Channel 76 News. I'm Alex Santiago. This is Tim Cunningham.
There's been a question going around these streets recently about how exactly the Declaration of Independence, Phyllis Wheatley's To His Excellency George Washington, and the Virginia Convention are pieces of rhetoric. But first, what is rhetoric? We'll take you down to our side street reporter, Jackson Rod Stew, to ask the real question.
Thanks, Tim. I'm here with Chittles now. Chittles, have you ever heard of the word rhetoric before? Does that cross your mind at all?
I don't recall.
What do you think it means?
I think it could mean to redirect someone in some way, or redirect something.
Well, in reality, it actually means to try to persuade someone, try to get them behind your lead. Have you ever heard of this anywhere before?
I think I have. I've heard of it in politics when the two sides, they try to redirect people, or redirect people into thinking that they're the better side.
Thank you. I'm not here with the gorgeous human being, Tim Dunn. Tim, have you ever heard of a rhetorical device before? You know what that is?
Yes, sir. I believe it has to do with, persuading people, that kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying?
And finally, somebody gets it right. Jeez, took a while. So, can you think of any time you've been persuaded in your life?
So, let me give you an example, all right? Every time I walk into said retail store, buy my goods, say I go to Babies R Us, for example, and get some diapers and such, as I'm making my purchase, they will attempt to offer me a credit card by saving money off my purchase and future purchases. I believe that is a good example there, right?
I'm not here with Gags. And Gags, have you ever heard of the word rhetoric before?
No, I have not.
It doesn't cross your mind in any way?
Not really.
Never heard it in English class or any literature class you've ever had?
Maybe like history.
Alright, well, as I told Chittles, that it is the art of persuasion. Do you think this relates to anything in the real world, or can you think of anything?
Or like politics when they have debates and stuff. They
Alright.
Convince the people to vote for them.
Alright, thank you.
First, the Declaration of Independence.
The Declaration of Independence was written by Thomas Jefferson in 1776 and played a key role in the formation of the United States. Famously signed by John Hancock in big letters, so King George and his vision-impaired eyes could see. No offense. I kid.
The real question is, how is this document a rhetorical piece?
We'll take you down to a street reporter, Jackson Rod Stew, for answers.
Gags, have you ever heard of the Declaration of Independence?
I have.
It's very familiar to you? You like from English class or history or anything?
Yep.
In the Declaration of Independence, Thomas Jefferson used the words in many sentences. He starts with, he has combined, he has obstructed, he has erected, all going towards the king. How do you think this relates to rhetoric towards the king?
Well, he didn't like the king. He thought he was a bad man, and he wanted all of his people to agree with him. So he said that to get them to follow him.
Thank you. So in the Declaration of Independence, Jefferson writes the famous words of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. How do you think that these words persuaded people into supporting the movement of independence?
Obviously everybody wants to pursue happiness in life. And I think that the main reason that the colonists went over to America was to liberate themselves from Britain. And then, obviously everyone just wants to live. So I think those are three of the main ways that they were persuaded by these words of Thomas Jefferson. Dude.
Chit, have you ever heard of the Declaration of Independence?
Of course I have.
So, in many ways, people think that this document is a rhetorical piece from history. Do you agree with that?
I do.
Can you give me an example of how it would be a rhetorical piece?
Hold on, wait, what?
Another historical piece of work that relates to rhetoric is Patrick Henry's speech at the Virginia Convention. This speech was spoken on March 23, 1775 at St. John's Church in Richmond, Virginia. To explain the rhetorical aspect of this piece, we'll take you down to the rhetorical mastermind of Zachary Smith. Zachary?
I can clearly think of one specific line of how the speech relates to rhetoric. Rhetoric. The line of give me liberty or give me death. By saying this, he was trying to persuade the delegates of the Virginia Convention to secede from Britain. Ultimately, he was trying to get the delegates to stand with him and against the British rule.
The final historical piece that relates to rhetoric is Phyllis Wheatley's To His Excellency George Washington. Now, Phyllis Wheatley was the first published African-American poet. She was sold into slavery around the age of 7 or 8 from West Africa and transported to North America. Now, she eventually became a free slave, and she published some of her works. One of her most famous works, To His Excellency George Washington, uses rhetoric in many ways. For more on this topic, we once again bring you down to our street reporter, Jackson Rod Stew. Jackson?
So in To His Excellency George Washington, Phyllis Wheatley, the author, uses Greek gods and goddesses as symbols. Like, for example, she uses Columbia as symboling America. Why do you think she does this?
Well, a lot of Greek goddesses and their stories usually had prophecies, so I think that she was just trying to symbolize that eventually she knew that it was America's prophecy to be free, and that overall they'd overcome their challenges.
So in this poem, Wheatley really wanted to commend the achievements of General Washington. Out of all people in America, why do you think she'd want to write to him?
Because she's trying to get the point across that he's fighting for our country and leading it, and she wants like people to know that, so they'll do the same, fight for their country.
So in Phyllis Wheatley's poem, she uses very specific words such as tempest, which means a storm, and ensign, which means flag or a symbol flown to show nationality. How do you think these things relate to rhetoric or nationalism?
Well, I think that something that could be represented by a tempest would be the British control over America during the time, and how they were trying to escape this, and this is what caused them to rally together in their independence movement. And I think that the word ensign has to do with the American flag and how the Americans used it to rally as one against the British to succeed to accomplish their goal.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it, sir.
This has been Channel 76 News. I'm Tim Cunningham. This is Alex Santiago, signing off. We'll see you tomorrow.